Well, it's actually hard to measure competitiveness. You can't just measure one thing because many aspects of an economy, the governance system, the political system determine or impact competitiveness. There's no silver bullet. So you have to measure multiple dimensions of the economic system, the business capabilities in the economy. In the GCR, the Global Competitiveness Index, we tend to focus more on the broader context, macroeconomic policy, political system, legal system, that sort of overarching broader context. In the BCI, or Business Competitiveness Index, we tend to focus really on the microeconomic aspects of competitiveness, which have to do with business itself, the capabilities of business, and the quality of the business environment in which firms operate. I think the report is, first of all, an important process of really learning about the fundamental drivers of prosperity. So in some very deep sense, it's a research program. It's a way of kind of revealing what really matters. And of course, the report has access to a very unique tool, which is a survey of more than 10,000 leaders from many countries around the world. So it can use all the usual types of data that are often published about the global economy, but it also has this survey, which is the actual decision makers that make the economy work. And therefore, it allows us to study competitiveness and its fundamental drivers in a way that I think adds to the overall knowledge base and then informs the whole practice in the field. I think secondly, it's a tool for governments and stakeholders to make progress at the country level. First of all, it creates a motivation. Our ranking fell. We're behind these guys who are our neighbors, who are our rivals. It motivates change. It reveals priorities. So I think of it fundamentally as a tool that kind of motivates and informs the process of economic policy making. And in that sense, I think that it can have actually a tangible impact on the process of economic growth. The BCI was introduced a number of years ago after the formation of the overall GCR, in order to dig more deeply into the microeconomics of competitiveness. And when I say microeconomics, macroeconomics is about the aggregates in the entire economy. Microeconomics is about the actors, the specific actors. And in this case, the actor that we focus most on is firms. And of course, competitiveness is ultimately driven by firms. If the economy is productive, that's because firms are productive. And so the focus of the BCI was to really look very deeply at the firms and the environment in which firms were operating at the national level. And so it opened up a whole new set of more detailed and more granular indicators that then had been looked at previously. And we continue to kind of deepen and refine that process of exploration year by year and try to make it more and more revealing, not only to government policymakers, but also to inform business leaders and business practitioners. Increasingly, competitiveness is no longer a government-driven process. It's a process where government and business and universities and other institutions work together to raise the bar in terms of productivity, and all of them are contributing, all of them have to be players. And so, again, to the extent that the BCI helps bring the private sector into this process, I think it plays a very important role in kind of modern competitiveness thinking. Well, there are numerous findings, but it really reveals how multifaceted the competitive environment really is. It reveals the importance of some of the basics, like having good physical infrastructure, having stable electrical supply. And we find even in advanced countries, those things matter and actually hold back prosperity. It reveals the crucial importance of competition and the health of competition within a society. You know, it's very hard to be productive if you have a monopoly you can guarantee your customer. It shows the incredible importance of openness to the outside world, to international trade, to international investment, to technology licensing. It reveals the sort of paradoxical role of regulation. You know, regulation is not necessarily bad if it's efficient and if it sets high standards. In fact, we find that tough regulatory standards are consistent with competitiveness, not lax regulation. So there's a whole series of findings in the BCI, and what we try to do is not only talk about those findings in aggregate detail, but then show how the strengths and weaknesses of each country arise from these insights. And again, another important point is that the competitive agenda for a country depends on where that country is in its journey from becoming from a developed to a developing country, or developing to a developed country, I should say. When you're at $5,000 of GDP per capita, the bar that you're trying to raise and the priorities are different than if you're trying to move forward as the United States. So again, as we move forward in this project, we've increasingly focused on how countries at different levels of income face different challenges and how to understand those challenges so that the right priorities are set.